All right, Ian. We know gambling is big nowadays, and it's becoming more prevalent. We have,
It's the talk of the town.
it's talk of the town.
People love to gamble.
It's been decriminalized in the U.S. For a few years now, and it's legal now in more and more states to bet on sports and other things. I like my predicted gambling, which is somehow illegal in all 50 states.
How do you feel about Keno?
I don't like Keno.
You don't like Keno?
No, it's like a lottery basically. I don't like it.
Keno's fun when you're drinking.
So now, though, with competitive gaming and esports, there's been gambling in this for a long time at this point, since almost the inception, especially overseas. And along with that has come controversy with players throwing games and things of that nature, because it's younger people getting in trouble. So Sony now is seeing the trend of gambling in esports. Sony has patented their own game betting system. The esports platform could allow spectators to bet money or in-game items with odds determined by player history. So the patent was filed in 2019.
Including Bitcoin, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Oh, really? I didn't get to that.
It's right in the first... Yeah, Bitcoin, money, in-game items.
Oh, wow. The patent was filed in 2019 but published this month. Patents take a while to get through sometimes because they have to be looked over. Be like, okay, is this actually like a real thing that you can patent, or is it bullshit? It can be used in theory to allow live match betting on esports games, such as those held during the EVO fighting game tournament, which the PlayStation parent jointly acquired earlier this year. What a coincidence! What a coincidence!
A coinky dink.
Remember we were talking about a couple months ago? What was Sony get out of buying EVO? And we're like, yeah, well, they can help promote their games and stuff. Wow, were we fucking naive, Ian?
We were
pretty fucking dumb.
We're the
not to even think about gambling.
Look at us, naive boys.
Look at us saying, "Oh, good old Sony,
us being naive,
giant corporation Sony. Just they're doing it for the community." And well, this could be something that maybe we don't see this year potentially, but we're going to see this. So the patent would use Sony's system would use the past histories of players or esports teams to determine betting odds offered to spectators viewing gameplay. Okay, if people don't know about gambling. When you see odds happen, they're usually set in one of two ways. When it's purely win or lose odds, that's usually established by whoever's taking the bets, but then it changes based upon how much money is going into the winner or loser. It just goes in like that. It's like, okay, all the money's going to here. They adjust the odds in order to get, they want the bookmaker wants to balance out the bets as much as possible. That's in theory what odds are doing. Straight odds, over and under, is something usually those set by professional people saying, okay, this is a point spread that's being set like that, usually. So how do you do that with people playing a fighting game against each other? How do you do that? How do you set odds or lines, basically? How do you do that? There has to be a way for that. Ian, I can bet on watching two people play, Ryu versus Chun-Li. How do I bet and know what's a good bet or not? Well, this would be a system that would help out with that. Well, we know that this player's history, maybe against this opponent or with this character, is this wins and losses, and then it's an algorithm to do that. It's brilliant. It's also extremely sketchy to do this now, obviously, after you just bought like EVO. Obviously, if they put this in, basically, I'm guessing they would put this in if you're on your Sony PlayStation, or have an online betting system or an app to do this where it's legal.
Guessing it's probably like an app, something like that.
But I mean, they've been talking about this now with sports forever now, like going to a sports game and having an app and being like, oh, I can now bet if this batter is going to strike out. Like, this is something that's going to happen once it's legal in all like 50 states. They're going to have like, oh, it's built into me while I watch it, Ian. It's no longer, I'm enjoying watching this esports event. I'm gambling as I go. And boy, is a lot of people going to do this. Like, are you kidding me? This is a Pandora's box where, like, this is a lot of money, though, to be made, but a lot of people are going to lose money gambling, obviously, but that's what happens. You got to be careful about this stuff. The example said, like, data could be determined from either the current video game being played or a player's entire fighting game history, including win-loss ratios and more. And
that's what I imagine it would.
And there's a little graph saying how it would happen. You access game analytics, past histories of teams / individual player, determine odds for one or more proposition bets. Wow, prop bets on top. It'll probably be like, well, I think this guy will take. Usually they do like whatever 3 out of 5 games. He'll take one game. Maybe he'll only take one round in this one game.
Right.
That's a prop bet. It's not just betting on the total winner or loser. It's now we're betting on minutia inside of the event. He's going to throw Ian 14 combos in this game, or he'll do 3 specials. That's a prop bet. Like, this is minutia stuff that this algorithm will be able to probably tell you by tracking the game's history. It's cool. It's also extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I think that there's.
And then when I see something like, oh, change the odds with time left. So when I see that, that becomes, oh, wow, I can still bet while the match is going on. Well, maybe this guy's on the 10% of life. Now it's a 50 to 1 shot he'll win, but I can still bet on it.
Yeah.
In real time. That is scary stuff.
That is scary shit.
That's we want to milk this for every little cent and get the dopamine drip from your brain directly as much as we can.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Because sports games don't usually allow that. A lot of sports games is like, no, you set your bet before the game, and that's
before it starts. Yeah,
that's it. It's set. You can't bet in the fourth quarter. Oh, it's going to be a comeback. As far as I know, I'm not on FanDuel or the other ones that are advertising.
Yeah, I don't do any of that. But I mean, at least of the friends I know who do betting, none of that ever enters into it with, say, football,
it's just
basketball, etc.
It's just set. The patent describes the ability for the system to access certain game data to support betting. For example, video may be searched. This is in quotes. This is from like the patent. Video may be searched to identify where in the video a virtual grenade has a possibility of killing 1, 2, or 3 characters, thus providing odds for such a scenario. Oh, great. So now I'm watching a Counter-Strike game, and now there's odds for like grenade deaths and individual knifing in the back. It's whoo. Sony. You, Sony. Very good, Sony. I mean, it's so. There's always that point where the capitalism hits me to such a point where it goes beyond sleaze to like it's almost like art, where it's like, wow,
it's sleazy, but it's artistically evil.
Yes,
and that's how I kind of feel about this.
Like you have to be a genius to think this stuff up and to implement this stuff. And they've been thinking about this for years.
It's gonna look like pop-up video.
This is years.
You're gonna be watching this shit just with the stats and everything popping up. Yeah.
So the patent went into place 2019.
This is almost a guaranteed bet. Oh, you lost that one. This one's almost a guaranteed bet. Nope.
Wow. And it's timed right after they buy Evo by months. Yeah. I don't believe in coincidences like this, Ian. I don't. Well, for a company like this, this
isn't a coincidence. This is a clear
$1 billion
clear
company.
Cause and effect. This is clear A because of B.
God, man. I want to go back. Can I read those nice little pie in the sky Sony quotes after they bought Evo? Oh, this is important for the community.
The community.
And now we're thinking, well, why, Ian? Why would they show these other games being played that they don't own? Well, they can still make money off of gambling. That's why they can do it.
All capitalism aside, I'm happy that Evo is going to be able to keep going forward. It's got the money to keep going. I'm glad that it doesn't look like Sony is going to meddle with the, the choice of games. But yeah,
how do you think
the betting? Wow.
How do you think Nintendo is going to feel if Evo comes about and they're playing Smash and Nintendo now it's either okay, well, Nintendo, we might have gambling on your games, or you're not in a tournament, or you're not. Nintendo will be like, you fucking assholes, because this is coming down the pike. This is going to come down the pike. Yeah. Stuff like this, these sort of scenarios. Or Nintendo has to accept like a cut-in. Ooh, Nintendo, you're dirtying my Nintendo. That clean family, family company. A survey earlier this year from Consumer Insights Group Interpret found that 52% of esports followers are likely to place bets on major esports tournaments. Oh, I think that's low. Probably 52%. I think that's low.
You think so?
I think once you get that bug, that's actually low.
Sure. It's like Keno at the bar.
It's right there. Oh, okay.
It's right there. Yeah. I will take a ticket with 4, 20, and 69. And
because that person just won across there, even though everyone else lost, but that person won, so I can win. That's how it is. The house always wins. The betting house always, for the most part, wins. The house in Vegas always wins.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Just like Dogecoin. You might win, other people are losing. Yeah. I mean, that's all I got to say about it. It's fascinating.
It is. I feel like it would be almost too tempting for me.
But now this article even touches on the fact that more and more matches are potentially being fixed.
Well, and that's what I wanted to bring up. And I feel like Evo, at the very least, would be very good about not having that. I would hope.
You would hope.
I would hope. But the thing is, it has nothing to do with the organizers. It's everything to do with each individual person who partakes in it. Like we've talked about before with other esports, this is a young. These are young kids. A lot of them, for the most part.
They don't have money. A lot of them.
And you don't get you don't get the longevity out of your money like you do a sports career. There's incentives in a long sports career to keep you from ever wanting to do that.
Yes, you have salary, you have endorsements, you have post-career opportunities. Usually, tons of money to be made even if you're an average player in a sports league.
And fighting games, we're talking about fighting games, but I always think about Fortnite, especially when they talk about the reflexes and the fact that people who play Fortnite might have a couple of years. We also talk about how you could be great at a game, you could be the best at this game, but this game is only going to have a mainstream focus for 3 years. You don't.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I would, and I'd like to think a lot of people don't, but I'm just saying you have a lot more vulnerable people in these sorts of situations.
And when you hear about some of these top players, it's like it's almost like when you hear about tennis. Yeah, you have these smaller tournaments but like most of the big tournaments are like won by like 5 people.
Right.
Like the top people usually come out on top for the most part because the skill levels. There is like a step above. There are no below average or average people that end up in these tournaments and win it. Like there's no like one-off things like, oh, this person usually stinks, but now they're great. Sports, you get that like 1 in a million thing that happens every once in a while, or like someone who's ranked 50th beats a number 1 person.
Sure.
But it's extremely rare. But like you can't make a career off of that long term being an esports player. You gotta be the best. You gotta be the best.
Yeah.
It's not like sports where you have a team that's shit that gets kicked around and those guys still make millions of dollars. That doesn't happen here. So again, Pandora's box, because now it's even be more apparent. Well, wow, how come this player didn't play up to their standards? Or maybe they even quote unquote point shaved, and now maybe they usually would have won 3 straight games out of 5. Maybe they throw one of those games knowing they're still going to win. Because that happens a lot in sports too. It's called point shaving.
Yep.
It's like, well, instead of winning by 10 points, we're going to win by 7.
Yeah.
Because now a lot of people made a lot of money. I'm technically still winning. So like, this is really, really, I can't tell you how bad this is for something that already for a whatever you want to call it, a sport, for a hobby that already has people like me and others pointing out, wow, this might not be legit a lot of times, because we're seeing more and more cases of this happening where people are getting potentially prosecuted or getting in trouble for throwing games. So
when you also talk about odds being changed as games go on and prop bets, you can't. Yeah, you could, fighting games could have point shaving. You could have, well, I'm going to still win, but I'm going to win with this move, or I'm going to win with this sort of attack.
Or I'll wait for my health to go down to this amount. The integrity gets thrown out the window.
Or instead of sweeping it, I'm going to take it and I'm going to lose this round. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, I'm up 2 games and none. I can give up a round, and that's a prop bet now. Now, a lot of people made a ton of money thinking, oh, this player never was going to win a round. Wow, he won a round. All these people made this money. It was 10-1 odds or whatever. That can happen. It will happen. It will.
I want to clarify that I'm not trying to say that I think esports players, or certainly not saying this about like FGC, like tournament fighters. I don't think that they're morally loose people who are going to do this. I'm just saying
it will eventually happen.
It's a breeding ground for this sort of thing.
If it happened with college players, if it happened with professionals here and there who make money, it can happen like easily. Yeah. I'm just saying it will happen. It's already happened in esports. So like, why wouldn't it happen more?
We're not talking about something that's going to happen in the future. I don't know of it happening with fighting games, but we've already seen it with esports in general.
Yeah, it just makes it. You can say it's a breeding ground. It may become worse, and I think it will become worse.
It's a petri dish of possibilities,
but no pan rabbit.
No pan rabbit.
All right, moving on, Ian.
Gonna have some pan rabbit.